Hello everybody, welcome to HM Studio. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to model this scene. You might have watched my other video about interior modeling, but this one will be more informative. I'm going to give you more details and I hope you guys like it. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. So for this tutorial, I've selected this scene, which I think is small enough and it's fairly detailed, so it's not going to take a long time to model it, and I think it's going to be a good practice. On my previous tutorial, we've tried to model the scene based on an AutoCAD file, but this time we're gonna model it based on an image. We have the floor plan here, and as you can see, it's not that big, and we're gonna model the whole scene based on this one. Now, the first thing we need to do is to right-click on the image, select File Information, and we can see the dimensions of this image right here. And we're gonna have to create a plane inside 3ds Max with the same dimensions. So we could drop that image on this plane and we could start the modeling from there. So let me create this plane with the same dimensions. Okay, let me move it right to the center. And since we don't need any of these segments, we can simply get rid of them by right-clicking over here, and there. And there you have it. Now we can go back to our images and simply drag and drop this image onto our plane. And there it is. Okay, now we can start the modeling. Now go ahead and click on this button right here, which maximizes the active viewport. Or you can simply press Alt-W on your keyboard, which does the same thing. The next thing we need to do is to adjust the scale of this image. Now we have this dimension line here, which represents 2 meters. And what we're gonna do is to create a box with 2 meters of width, like so. Okay, now we're gonna scale up this image. So this 2 meters on the image is equal to 2 meters that we have on this box. For that, let's go to the hierarchy tab over here and click on Affect Pivot Only. And with this, we can simply move the pivot point of any object to where we want it to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and move it to right over here. And then click again on this button to deactivate it. Now let's go ahead and select the scale tool or simply press R on your keyboard and scale up to the image like so. Okay, we're done with this. We can go ahead and delete the box since we don't need it anymore. Now we can start the modeling. So let's go ahead to the Create tab, go to the Shapes, and select the line. And we're gonna create a line all around this plan. Just keep in mind that we have to create a vertex on every corner like this. And if you hold shift, it's going to create a straight line. So one more here. And we're going to continue like that. And at the end, we can just close the spline. Yes. Now we're going to have to create another line inside the plan on every room. So let's go to the modify panel while the line is selected and click on create line right over here. Now let's go ahead and create another line inside the plan. We're gonna follow the same logic. Now let's say we want to create a vertex right next to this one, and we want them both to have the same value on the y-axis. What you're gonna have to do is to activate the snap tool simply by pressing S on your keyboard. And while holding shift on your keyboard, you can simply click on this one and it will create another vertex right next to it. And we're gonna do the same with the other ones as well. As you can see, I'm creating these perfect straight lines just by holding shift on my keyboard. Okay, now that we're done with this one, we can go ahead and take care of the other room. So once again, while this spline is selected, let's go to the modify panel, select create line, and go ahead and create another line for this room. Alright, now that we have the splines ready, we're gonna have to put an extrude modifier on top of everything. So let's go to the modify panel, and from the modifier list you can find extrude right here. Okay, and let's make it 300 centimeters height, and there you have the walls. So remember that I told you we need to create two vertices on both sides of every opening that we have. They come in handy right now. So by creating them, we can get these segments after we extrude the spline. Then we don't have to do it all over again in editable poly, and it makes everything way easier for us. Now what we're gonna have to do is to create an editable poly on top of this geometry so we could create the openings. Now let's go to the modifier list again and select edit poly from here. Now let's go back to the images to see how the windows are actually look like. Okay, for example, this one, I would say this is like 60-70 centimeters, and we have one more here, like 250 centimeters. Let's go back to the max and go to the front view by simply pressing F on your keyboard. Now let's select the edges by clicking on this button over here or pressing 2 on your keyboard. Now we can select all the vertical edges like so and create two segments by clicking on the connect button over here and make it 2 like that, and okay. Now let's go ahead and select vertices from here or pressing 1 on your keyboard and select all of these vertices, and what we're going to do is to move them down to this level, which is 60 centimeters. So let's go back to max and put 60 right over here. We're going to do the same thing with these vertices, and we're going to move them up to 250 centimeters. And there you have it. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to actually open the openings. And for that, let's go to the perspective view, then select both polygons in the front and back of each opening. And actually, let's go back to the images and see how they look like. For example, this one. Yeah, these are actually doors, and they go all the way from the floor level to 250 centimeters. So let's go back to max, this one. I'm going to select both front and back polygons, right? And simply click on bridge, and it will open these polygons for us. And we're going to do the same thing with all the other openings as well. For these two, I'm going to select both front and back. Also this one. This door over here. And then let's click on bridge. There you have it. Let's go ahead and take care of the doors also. Oh, as you can see, I forgot to create a vertex here, so we don't have this segment over there, and we're gonna have to create it manually. So let's go ahead and select the edges and select these 4 edges. Now create one segment over here, and we're gonna move it and put it right here next to this one. Let's activate this snap tool from here, or actually we can just press S on your keyboard. There is one trick that you need to know about this snap tool. If you right click on the snap tool, you can have this window, and if you go to the option tab, we have this option over here, enable axis constraints. If it's disabled, you cannot move any object in a straight line. It will just move in every direction, X, Y, and Z. But if you have it enabled, if you click on every of these axes, you can move it only on that axis. So for this purpose, we have to keep it activated so we could just align these 2 segments to each other. Yeah, like that. Okay, now that we have this segment, we can go ahead and create our openings. Okay, now let's go ahead and click on the bridge. Oops. Alright, seems I forgot. Yeah, I forgot to select these. And yeah, there it is. Okay, now that we have the walls ready, we can go ahead and create some of the interior objects. For example, I think we can start modeling this counter over here. Yes, let's see what images do we have. Well, apparently we don't have enough pictures, but it's a pretty simple object, and I think we can use some of our creativity, right? So let's go back to Max and start off by going to the top view. And let's create a box here. Let's go to the create menu, geometries, select the box, and simply create a box right there. And since we're modeling based on an image and all the numbers are not accurate, let's just go ahead and change them. Like 280 and 90 would be a good start. Okay, let's go to the perspective. And now we can add some details, right? If I go to the images and this one, okay, as you can see, the white part is actually like 3 panels. And what we can do is to add an editable poly on top of this box. Yeah, let's select the edges, these ones, okay. And let's isolate this box with clicking on this or pressing Alt Q on your keyboard. Okay, I guess this is important for you to know that you can actually select one of these edges and select ring, and it will select all the segments on that ring, as you can see, right? And we can create 2 segments. One for this right here and one for the other side. Alright, now we're gonna select these segments and move them all the way to the right next to this one. And for that, you can actually select one of them. And to select the whole loop, you can simply click on the loop right here. And it will select the whole loop, right? And let's activate the snap tool, which is actually and move it all the way to the right on top of the other one. And we're going to move it to the left by right-clicking on the move tool and move it on the y-axis by 1.5 centimeters. Okay, now we're gonna have to do the same thing for the other side. Let's select the whole loop, or double-clicking on this one will work as well. Move it all the way to the left and 1.5 centimeters. Okay, we're gonna make another one for this top part, and for that I'm gonna select this segment and select ring and create one segment over here. Okay, let's move it all the way up to here and move it down by 1.5 centimeters. Okay. Now we're going to have to select these two polygons, the front one and the one in the back, and simply click on the bridge as we did for the openings. Okay. We don't need these polygons. We can just simply get rid of them by hitting delete on your keyboard. And there you have it. Now let's go back to the image to see what else do we have. We created this white part, and now we have to create this black box inside it. So let's go back to the 3ds Max and create a box from the create menu. Okay, select the box, activate the snap tool, and we're going to create one like so. As you see, we have to push it inside a little bit, like, I don't know, 5 centimeters. And for that, I'm going to create an editable poly. Like that. Let's select this polygon. Right click on the move tool or press F12 on your keyboard. And you can push it back by 5 centimeters. Okay. For the backside also, because we have some stools, we have to push this one inside so there's some room for the legs, right? Okay. It actually might be a little bit too much, but we can always go back and fix it later. Now we're gonna have to create these doors, right? And for that, I'm going to the front side. Let's go ahead and create a box. Go ahead and activate AutoGrid so we could actually create a box on top of this one, like this. Alright, let's give it 1.5 centimeters of depth. And now we can create the doors. As you can see, we have this gap over here, which is like 15 centimeters and 2-3 centimeters from the top. And actually, we need to have a gap on the right and the left side, right? And for that, what I'm gonna do is to like reduce the width by 1 centimeter, so we could have like half a centimeter from each side. Okay, as you saw in the pictures, we had like 3 centimeters gap from the top and 15 centimeters from the bottom. And to do that, we're gonna go ahead and create an editable poly on top of this box. Okay, let's select all of these vertices from the top and move them down by 3 centimeters. And for these vertices on the bottom, we can move them up by 15 centimeters. Now we can go ahead and create the doors. And as you saw, we had 4 doors and we need 3 segments like that. Okay, to do that, we're gonna select these segments from here. And actually, let's go ahead and isolate this box alone so we could work easier, right? And let's go ahead and click on this button over here twice, and there you have it. Okay, let's create 3 segments by clicking on connect and add 3 segments like so. Okay, now we have to make a little bit of gap between these doors and simply just detaching them from each other. There's an easy way to do that. While these segments are selected, let's go ahead and select extrude. And we will get 2 options here. The first one will extrude every segment that is selected, and the second one will expand the base like this. And for this purpose, the first one is not that important to us because we're going to delete them eventually. But anyways, the second one, I think 0.25 will be a good number, and that means half a centimeter's gap. Okay, now you can just go ahead and hit delete on your keyboard, and that leads us to this. We actually have the gap. Now we have these openings over here, which we don't need. right? These borders. So let's select all of these borders and select cap from here. It will close all the borders like that. So we have 4 separate boxes right now. Oh, I actually created everything backwards. Let's go ahead and select everything and click on this button over here, mirror, and mirror it on the x-axis. Let's just hit OK and move everything to where they're supposed to be. Okay. Seems like we're done with this one, and we can go ahead and create probably this unit over here on the left. Let's see what other images do we have. Yeah, this one probably might work. Alright. As you can see, we have it on the plan right here. Let's see if we have other images also from other angles. Okay, one thing that you can see is this part of the ceiling is lower than the other parts. Let's say it's like 250 centimeters. So when we create this box, this unit, we're gonna extrude it by 250 centimeters. And as you can see, it's kind of like a box. It's pretty simple. So let's go back to 3ds Max and select the top view from here, or by pressing T on your keyboard. Now we're gonna create a box right here. We don't need AutoGrid anymore, so let's create a box over here. Let's try to be as precise as possible, but you can always change the dimensions later. Okay, let's make it 250 centimeters high. There you have it. Okay, let me just change the color, and we can go ahead and create some details. And as we did before, to make the process easier, we can just isolate the box and the plane together. Okay, let's go back to the images and see what kind of details do we have. Okay, seems like we have 3 panels next to each other here. Let's go to the other image. Yes, exactly. So let's go back to 3ds Max, and in the top view, you can see that they are right here. So to be more precise, let's apply an editable poly on top of this box and select these vertices from here, and let's move them right over there. Okay, now we can go to perspective by pressing P on your keyboard, and we're gonna create 3 boxes here next to each other. Alright, let's enable AutoGrid so we could create the box on this surface, and enable the snap tool by pressing S on your keyboard. Okay, let's make it 1.5 centimeters, and yeah. As you saw in the image, we have 3 boxes next to each other, and there's a little gap between each 2. So let's go to the top view. And copy this box 2 times. Let's leave a little gap in between. And okay. Alright. I think we need to have one more on the other side. I can show you here in this image. Yeah, right here. Okay. There's another one on this other side. So we can go ahead and copy that box one more time. Okay, let's copy this one. You can just hold Shift on your keyboard and move it on the Y-axis. Copy. Okay, now with the snap tool, we can move it right next to the other box that we have. Okay, as for the next thing, we're gonna create this base cabinet over here, which is like 85 centimeters. The easiest way is to select this top polygon from here and just move it down. Let's go with 85 centimeters here. Okay, now if we take another look to the images, you can see that this space over here, let me show you. Yeah, here. It needs to sit back for 1.5 centimeters, so we could have some room for the doors. So let's go ahead and select this polygon and move it back for 1.5 centimeters. Now we need to move this back face also to the middle, since we have this closet back here. Alright, let's see what else do we have. Alright, we have this cabinet top over here. This could be also 1.5 centimeters. So let's go back, select this polygon and move it down for 1.5 centimeters. Okay, let's go back to the image. As you can see, we have this tall unit over here, which goes all the way up to the ceiling. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 doors here. All right. So what we're gonna do is to select all of these segments and create 3 segments over here. Okay. Now this one, as you saw, goes all the way up to the ceiling. But first of all, let's extrude it for 60 centimeters. Maybe 80. Okay, that's more like it. Let's compare it to the image. Yeah, I think that looks fine. Then we have to create this part also. So let's go back. Let's hit OK. And we have to extrude it again. Okay, again, let's enable the snap tool and move it all the way up to here. Okay, now you're gonna have to select this polygon over here and extrude it. Hit OK, and with the snap tool, we're gonna move it all the way to here. Okay, fine. Good. Now we're gonna have to create another box here to close it up. Once again, with the snap tool, I'm going to create a box here, and that's it. Looks good. The next step is to create some doors, and also we need to create this countertop over here. So let's check the images. As you can see, this is a simple box, so we can, as always, with the snap tool enabled, create a box over here on the top, like so. Let's make it 1.5 centimeters, and it should probably touch this edge over here. Let's check it out. Yeah, exactly. So what I'm gonna do is to add an editable poly on top of it, as always. Now let's select this polygon over here and move it all the way to here. Cool. So for the next step, let's create a hole for this oven. As you can see, we have like 10 centimeters here and then 60 centimeters for the oven itself. So let's go ahead and select one of these edges and click on ring. Now we're going to create a segment here. We need only one. I'm going to move it all the way up to here. Right click on the move tool and bring it back down by 10 centimeters. Now we need another one 60 centimeters below that one. So let's go back, select this one, click on ring, another segment, move it all the way up to here and move it back down by 60 centimeters. Perfect. Now we can select this polygon over here and extrude it inside. I'm going to move it all the way back to here, and now we can keep this polygon, we can delete it. I would prefer to delete it. So simply just hit delete on your keyboard and it's gone. As for the next step, we're going to create the doors. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Let me see if I can find another picture from the other side. Okay, this one. Alright, as you can see, we have this gap down here about like 10 centimeters, and we have this gap up there, which is basically the handle, and we can make it like 2 centimeters or something. So we can just keep this part empty, and let's go ahead and select these polygons. Let me check the picture again. Okay, we have this door right here and 3 more up there. We also need to create this gap before I forget. So let's go ahead and select this edge over here. Select ring, create a segment, and I'm gonna make it like 3 centimeters. I should probably create another segment here also. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Now we can select these polygons again. Okay, I forgot we need to create 2 more segments here also. Alright. Now we have to detach these polygons and create a copy. And for that we have this option over here, detach as clone, right? What it does is that it's going to create a copy out of the polygons that we've selected. So it's not going to detach them completely from the geometry, it's going to create a copy. So if I select these polygons and move them, you can see that we still have those polygons back here, right? So this is basically just a copy. Now let's go ahead and isolate it. And as you know, we don't need these polygons up here since we're going to have the handles here. So let's select these polygons and simply delete them. Now we're gonna have to get rid of these edges over here since we don't need those anymore as well. For deleting segments, we have 2 ways. We can delete them with backspace or control backspace. Control backspace will delete the edge and also the vertices that are connected to it, right? So we're gonna have to use that. But if you simply just hit backspace, it will keep the vertices. After that, we're going to select all the edges and we're going to use the extrude tool here. Let's extrude it. We have 2 numbers. The first one is the amount of the extrude, which is not important to us here, and the second one is the size of the base, which is the important one. So if I put 0.25, it will expand the base 0.25 centimeters from each side, which gives us like half a centimeters of gap, right? After that, you can just simply hit delete and it will create the gap between these doors. Okay, as you can see, we have some extra vertices here. We don't need them. Let's get rid of these also by hitting backspace on your keyboard. And when that's done, we can add a shell modifier on top of this geometry. This modifier is pretty straightforward. You can see that it creates a shell basically. And there you have it. These are the doors, right? I think something is off here. Yeah, exactly here. I made a mistake. Shouldn't have created that edge. So let me just move this back down. And done. Okay. Okay, seems like we're finished with this part. And we can go ahead and create this closet back here. Okay, what we can do is to just simply make a copy out of this box, right? So hold shift and move it on the x-axis. Let's make a copy, and with the snap tool, move it to here. Okay, we have 4 doors, so basically we need 3 segments. Let's add an editable poly, select all of these segments here, and create 3 segments. As we did for the other side, we can simply extrude these segments. As I said before, this one is not important for this purpose. You can put any number, but here I'm going to use 0.25 centimeter. Hit delete. And what we have to do is to close these gaps, right? So let's select all of these borders and cap. We need a little gap over here, like half a centimeter also. So I'm going to select all of these vertices and move them by half a centimeter. Also for the other side. Alright, now that we're completely done with this unit, we can go ahead and create this bookshelf. We cannot see the whole thing, but I'm gonna try to create something similar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're gonna need 6 segments here. So go ahead and create a box right over there. (250 centimeters). Let's add an editable poly and select these segments and create 6 segments. By the way, we have 2 different approaches to create something like this. I'm going to show you the easiest way first, which I don't really recommend, but just for the purpose of this video that I want you to learn some stuff, maybe you can use this method when you're modeling other stuff, right? So let's go ahead and start with that. Alright, we've already created these vertical segments. Now we need 4 horizontal segments. But since they don't have the same dimensions and one of them is bigger, specifically this one, we're going to have to create this one separately. So let's go back to Max and create 1 segment. Now go ahead and move it down all the way to here. Okay, now we can create 3 more up there. Perfect. The next step is to create these holes, right? So let's go ahead and select all of these polygons. Okay, now we're going to inset these polygons. And we get 2 options here, group and by polygon, right? If I select group, it will inset all the polygons together. It will count everything as 1, right? But if I select by polygon, it will inset each polygon separately. And this is what we need right now. Let's use 1.5 centimeters. Or maybe 1 centimeter. Okay, that looks fine. Now we just need to simply extrude everything towards inside. Okay. So, that was the first method. The second method that I'm using all the time, and most probably everybody, is this one. So, let's go ahead and create a box over here. Let's make it 1.5 centimeters. And we don't need this guy anymore. Let's select it and hit delete. Alright. Now we're going to create 1 segment over here. We'll need it later, I'll show you in a second. Now let's make a copy for the other side. Alright, now we're gonna have to create a plane on top of these from the middle of this box to the middle of the other one. This plane will work as a helper, right? Let's create 6 segments over here. And we can simply copy this box from the middle. This is where that segment comes in handy. 5 times. Alright. Now we can get rid of this one and create the shelves. So let's go ahead and create a box over here. Okay, let me check it out. So we have 1 box all the way down here. Okay, let's make it 1.5 centimeters. Now we can align it with the window, like that. And now we can make some copies. Okay, now let's select all of them with holding Control. We need to make one more copy for up here. And now we have to create another plane, as we did before, as a helper. Okay, let's get rid of these segments, and we need to add 4 segments over here. Okay. Once again, let's select all of them and make some copies. Three times. Alright, we don't need this, let's get rid of it. And now we have all the top shelves. Now we need to create some doors down here. So let's go ahead and start with a box. Let's check out the photo one more time. Okay, we have a gap down here, and that's it. Alright, let's go ahead and create a box. Actually, I think it's only one box down here. Yes, exactly. So before creating that box, let's go ahead and select all of these first. Add an editable poly. Go ahead and select all of these vertices and move them up to right there. Okay. Now we need to delete these boxes. Select this one, add an editable poly again. Select these vertices and move it to the left all the way to here. Okay. Now we can go ahead and create that box. Alright, let's add another editable poly. First we need to get rid of that edge. Okay, select the top polygon, move it up to here. Now we need to push this face towards inside by 1.5 centimeters. Okay, now we need to select all of these edges and create 5 segments. Hit OK. Now select all of these polygons. Let's detach them as a clone. Alright, let's go ahead and select it. Oh, not this one. Alright. Okay, we had a gap down there, so I'm going to select all of these vertices and move them up by 2 centimeters. Now select the edges, select all of them, extrude. Alright, hit OK and delete. Now we need to add a shell modifier, and that's all. 1.5 centimeters. This one is ready. After this, we can go ahead and create the ceiling. Let's take a look at the photos that we have. Alright, not this one, probably this one. Okay, we have 2 parts. One is there and the other one is here. Maybe let's find another picture. Yeah, this one. As you can see, they have 2 levels of height. This one is one of them, and we have a gap over here for the curtains, and there's another one over there with a gap in between. And if we look at this, we can see that this breaks into 2 parts, but they both have the same level of height. Alright, let's go to 3ds Max and start creating them. As always, we're going to start with a box. Let's create one from here to here. Okay. Let's add an editable poly. select this polygon and move it all the way up to there. We're gonna have a gap over here for the curtains, but let's start with this one. I'm gonna move it all the way to the left. All right, now let's select this one and create that gap. I think 20 centimeters would be good enough. Now we can go ahead and create the other part of the ceiling. So let's go to the create menu, select the box and create a box like so. Okay, let's go back to the picture again. As you can see, we have a gap over here and a gap over there for the curtains. So let's go back to 3ds Max and add an editable poly. Now I can make this polygon 275 centimeters high. Let's select this polygon over here. And with the snap tool enable, let's move it all the way to there. We're gonna have to create a gap over here for 10 centimeters. And we're gonna have another gap over here for the curtain. So let's make this one 20 centimeters as well. Alright, now that I'm looking at this picture, I can see that I missed one detail over here. This curtain goes behind the bookshelf. So we have to make it smaller, and we also have this gap here that we have to make. So let's go back to 3ds Max. Let's zoom in and select all of these bookshelves like this. And from the modifier list, let's go ahead and create one FFD modifier on top of everything. Okay. This modifier gives you these control points. So if you go ahead and select control points from here or press 1 on your keyboard, you can select any of these vertices and you can manipulate the shape of all the selected geometries, right? So in this case, I'm going to have to select all of these vertices and move them on the x-axis all the way to here. We also have a gap on the top, so let's go ahead and select all of these vertices and move them down by 1 centimeter. Alright, perfect. Okay, the next thing we have to do is to create that gap that we've seen before in this picture over here. To do that, we're gonna have to go to the top view, select all of these edges over here, and create one segment. Okay, let's move it all the way to here. And we need to align all of these geometries also. Let's select all of these vertices, move them up all the way to here, and also this bookshelf needs to be adjusted. Alright. Let's select the ceiling again and create another segment. I think this gap is gonna be like 3 centimeters. So let's go ahead and move it 3 centimeters to the right. Now we're gonna have to go over there, select this polygon, and extrude it like 5 or maybe 10 centimeters. Yeah, I guess 10 is better. Let's check the picture again. Yeah, okay, 10 centimeters is fine. Okay, I think the next step is to create a hole here for our sink. But before I do that, I should merge some of the objects that I've selected for this scene. I've already gathered everything, saved them into a separate file. So I'm gonna merge that file into this scene, and later on we're gonna create the wooden floor as well. I don't need this camera, so let's get rid of that. And this one also is useless. Let's hit OK. Okay, it seems that I have some objects with the same name. I'm gonna rename everything, and there we have it. Alright, let's go ahead and start with the sink. So let's just select it and move it to where it belongs. I'm gonna do it from the top view to be more precise. You have to rotate it 90 degrees. Alright. It should be somewhere around here. I actually need to enlarge this box down here since it's a little bit small. So let's select these vertices and move on to the right, like so. We don't need this polygon at the top, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. And the next thing we need to do is to create some segments in order to create that hole for the sink, right? So let's go ahead and isolate this stuff so it's easier to work with. I'm gonna have to go to the front view and move it down a little bit. Okay. In order to create that hole, we need some segments. I've already shown you how you can do it with the connect, and this time we're gonna do it with the quick slice under the edit geometry rollout. So let's select that and just create a segment like this. Pretty easy. We need another one here, one more over there, and the last one here. Sorry, let's do it again. Okay. Alright, now that we have these segments, we can go ahead and select these two polygons. So let's hit 4 on your keyboard or select polygons from here and select both of these polygons. And then just click on bridge and we're done with this. Oh, seems like this faucet is flying, so let's just move it down. It's a group, so I'm gonna ungroup everything from here. Let's select the faucet and move it down on the y-axis. Like that. Alright. From now on, we're just gonna move some objects around, put them to where they belong, but we honestly need to take care of the wooden floor as well. So first of all, let me just move this little guy over here to see if it fits. Yeah, okay. It looks fine. So, in order to create the floor, we need the floor generator. It's a plugin that you can easily download and install on your Macs. I'll put the link into the description and you can just find it there. And the instruction will be on their website as well. As you can see, we have some different parts on the floor with different directions. For each of them, we need to create one plane. But before doing that, I'm going to isolate some of these objects so we could do it easier. Let's go with this unit, walls, and probably the layout. So let's go to the create menu, select plane. We don't need auto create, we can just disable it. And let's activate the snap tool. I'm going with 2.5 and let's create our plane. Okay, the first one will be like this. Let's add an editable poly. Let's move this one all the way over there. Alright, let's go with the next one. Same process. Let's move this edge all the way to the left. Actually, since the wooden floor will go under the doors, we have to just expand this one like so. Alright, let's go with the next one. Alright, we need to adjust this one a little bit. Perfect. One more here. And the last one will be there. Okay, we need one more over here as well. Alright, let's go again. Alright, cool. Now let's go ahead and select, for example, this one. Let's go back to the picture to see how it looks like. You can see the arrangement of the planks, and we're gonna create something similar. Now from the modify tab, we're gonna add a floor generator. Let's adjust some of these numbers. Looks fine. For the extrude, which is like this part, I think 0.2 would be great. And bevel 0.1, I guess. We don't need a lot of gap between them, so let's reduce this number as well. Okay, perfect. Now all we gotta do is to copy this modifier like that and select another one and just paste it. Now since the direction is different, you're gonna have to go here and find the direction and rotate it by 90 degrees. And let's repeat the process for the rest of them. For this one here, I'm only going to add a shell modifier. And it needs to go all the way below these cabinets. So let's add an editable poly. Okay, select this edge and just move it back. That's all. Alright, perfect. We actually need one more for here as well. Let's take care of that. Create another plane like this and add a shell modifier. Okay, now that we're done with the modeling part, I can just hide this layout since we don't need it anymore. And I'm going to create a normal V-Ray material and assign it to everything except the objects, obviously. And from now on, we just need to place our objects into the scene. And that's actually pretty easy. So you can just watch and follow along. Alright, as you can see, this door is bigger than the opening, and what we can do is to add an editable poly on top of it and just moving its size by simply moving around the vertices. And you can do the same for the windows as well. Alright guys, we're almost done. There's only one thing that I forgot is these gaps that we have in the ceiling. And later on light can travel inside from here and we don't need that. So what we can do is to create a line all around the walls and just add a shell modifier. Alright, we're completely finished. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Once again, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss my next tutorial. Have a great day and I'll catch you in the next one.